Bonjour et bienvenue à notre deuxième vidéo en français 6. Aujourd'hui, la vidéo est sur la révision, encore une fois. Aujourd'hui, nous allons réviser les numéros, la date et les saisons. So just like in the other video, nothing should be new information, just review, but it's a good time to catch up or remind yourself of any of the little details you might have forgotten. And of course, you can always stop, rewind, fast forward, and use the video any way that is helpful to you when you're studying or reviewing anytime throughout the year. Okay, les numéros. So what we're going to do right now is just pronounce some of these smaller numbers together. So if you are not in a place where you can speak out loud, come back to this part when you can do that. When learning your numbers, it's important to know how to spell them, and some can get a little complicated, how to say them, and of course what the number is, what the number corresponds to. Alright? So here we go. Répétez avec moi. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Très bien. A couple of ones that can be difficult for students to pronounce. First of all, this one. It should sound like a ship that sank, okay? S-A-N-K. This one, there's a P in it, but do we pronounce the P? No, absolutely not. It should sound like I set the pen on the table, S-E-T. This one, 15, should sound like some cans of Coke, okay? So not quins or anything like that, but cans. This one is says, just like she says. And that's about it. Let's go on to the higher numbers. Okay, 20, 30 et 40. When you see all of these words, I know it looks a little overwhelming, but don't think of this as a vocabulary list of 100 words. Let's think about finding patterns. Because look and see if you can see any patterns in these three columns. Yeah, absolutely. The only word that changes is the first word, right? Whether it's 20, 30, or 40. Everything else follows a pattern. They all do the same thing, all right? So first thing, make sure that you're spelling 20 right. It's V-I-N-G-T, okay? There's no H in it, and don't switch those letters around. So when we've got something that's and 1, we've got et un every time. So it's like 20 and 1, 30 and 1, 40 and 1, all right? Then when we go 2, 3, 4, 5, then we've got this, what's that thing called? Un trait d'union, and then just the number, all right? So let's repeat a few of these together. Répétez avec moi. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, etc. Same thing here. Let's pronounce a few of these. Répétez 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. Très bien. And then what is this guy doing here? Well, when I was a French student, I could never remember the word for 40. And the way I finally memorized it, I would always think of a carrot, because it sounds sort of like the word for carrot, 40. So let's pronounce a few of these together. Répétez 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. Très bien. All right, 50 et 60. Do we see any patterns? Yeah, we see the same pattern. 50 et 1, 60 et 1, and then everything else we have a trait d'union, and then the number that comes next. And I put a little boat sinking here to remind you that it should sound like 50. Okay? All right, répétez avec moi. 50, 51, 52, 53. Répétez 60, 61, 62, 63. Très bien. All right. 70 and 80 is where things get a little crazy in French. We don't have a number for 70, so what we do is we take 60 and 10, basically. So we've got 60 and 10, so what would be 71? Well, 60 and 11, okay? And then everything else after that, we've got 12, 13, 14 with that trait d'union attached, okay? So let's repeat these. Répétez avec moi. 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79. Très bien. And now when we get to 80, now we have 4 20s. And notice that there's an S on the end of 20. Then we've got to go 4 20s 1, 4 20s 2, etc. Okay? Répétez avec moi. Répétez. 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89. So looking at all the numbers that we've seen, which ones do you think are repeated the most? I think if you don't know how to spell 20, you're going to be missing words in several different number categories. 20s, 80s, and also, as we're going to see, the 90s. So just like we saw before, we're just going to keep adding. So now we've got 4 20s and 10, and that makes up 90. Répétez avec moi. 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. Oh là là. And then finally, of course, 100. That's easy. We don't say 100 for 100, it's just 100, which means 100 by itself. If you need 200, 300, 200, 300, 400. But we'll talk about the bigger numbers later. Très bien. Okay, changing gears now, we're going to talk about les jours de la semaine en français. So these are the weekdays. Remember that the French calendar starts with Sunday, where we would start with Monday. So this is a cultural difference that you'll see on a French calendar. Okay, répétez avec moi. Dimanche, lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi, vendredi, samedi. Très bien. Et maintenant, les mois et les saisons. Vous comprenez? Les mois, ça c'est la liste des mois. The months, of course. Répétez avec moi. Répétez. Janvier, février, mars, avril, mai, juin, juillet, août, septembre, octobre, novembre, décembre. I also put the preposition en because when you want to say in January, it would be en janvier or en juin, en septembre, etc. Pour les saisons, the seasons, here we have a preposition and a definite article. I'm going to read these for you with the definite article. Okay? Répétez avec moi. Le printemps, l'été, l'automne, l'hiver. So remember that we've got accent, what kind there? Accent aigu. So it sounds like été, not et, but été. Très bien. All right, when we want to say in the springtime, we would say au printemps. We would not use the le, it's one or the other. So le printemps, the springtime, au printemps, in the springtime, or in the spring. En été, for in the summer, en automne, for in the fall, and en hiver, for in the winter. Here's some examples of how we would use these in a sentence. L'Halloween est en octobre. Octobre est en automne. Here's when we would not use those, but we would use the definite article. Il fait froid parce que c'est l'hiver. It's cold because it's the winter, not it's in winter. And here, il fait chaud parce que c'est août. We wouldn't use an article at all if it's just the month by itself. And the last thing we'll discuss in this video is la date and how to form it. The formula is basically just this. C'est le plus the number plus the month. So here we go. Aujourd'hui, c'est le 29 août. Or you can add some extra things in like this. Mon anniversaire, c'est le 9 novembre. Or if you want to add even more things, we change up the formula just slightly. C'est mardi, le 18 juin 2012. So the year would go at the end. The day of the week would go in between the c'est and the le. Merci, c'est tout, et bonne chance pour la quiz.